Paul McCartney's song "Too Many People," the opening track of his second solo album Ram, carried a sharp emotional charge. Released shortly after the Beatles' turbulent breakup, the album captured McCartney's lingering frustration, and for many listeners, this particular track felt like a veiled shot at his former bandmate, John Lennon. The timing of Ram made it clear that McCartney was still processing the collapse of the group he had been part of since his teenage years. Too Many People stood out as a pointed, though somewhat disguised, response to the public back and forth between him and Lennon. In the lyrics, 1956 to the present, McCartney looked back on that time, explaining that he felt cornered after what he saw as repeated attacks from Lennon. Instead of engaging in interviews or press battles, he decided to answer through his music, choosing words that hinted at his side of the story without outright confrontation. Lyrically, the song opens with references to people being pushed around and going underground, themes that McCartney later said reflected his annoyance at being lectured, particularly by Lennon, on how to run his life or career. He recalled how Lennon had pressured him to accept Alan Klein as the Beatles' new manager, despite McCartney's clear reservations. One lyric in particular, about someone messing up a good thing, was McCartney's subtle way of suggesting that Lennon had thrown away the incredible success they'd built together. Though firm in tone, McCartney maintained that the lyrics were never meant to be vicious. In fact, earlier drafts were reportedly much more direct. According to musicologist Vincent P. Benitez in The Words and Music of Paul McCartney, the original version of Too Many People even included Yoko Ono's name, but McCartney later revised it to soften the impact. Back then, tensions within the Beatles were running high, and McCartney said he had made a real effort to accept Ono's presence in the studio. It was unconventional, he admitted. She would often sit just feet away from his amplifier during sessions, but he did his best to adjust for the sake of the group. That's why he was so puzzled by Lennon's hostility after the split. The shift in Lennon's attitude felt abrupt and painful. Lennon, of course, had his own musical rebuttal. His 1971 track, How Do You Sleep, from Imagine, seemed to be a direct attack on McCartney, especially with a brutal line suggesting that Yesterday was the only song of merit he had ever written. McCartney later discovered that this dig may have been suggested by none other than Alan Klein himself. Imagining Lennon and Klein laughing about the lyric made the blow even more personal. Despite trying to shrug it off, McCartney admitted the insults stayed with him. While Yesterday was certainly one of his most famous songs, it was hardly his only contribution to the Beatles' legacy. He quietly reminded himself of the other timeless tracks he had penned: Let It Be, Eleanor Rigby, The Long and Winding Road, and Lady Madonna, to name just a few. Still, rather than lashing out, he tried to see Lennon's words through the lens of their shared Liverpool roots, where quick wit and verbal jabs were part of the culture, a place where striking first, even with lyrics, was often seen as strength.